Hey y'all, Sammy Schaefer. I'm going to talk about the July 1964 film that we watched in class and the police killings that we've had lately, the police brutality, and the connections between the two. Um, I kind of put them into bullet points, and I said that in both the video and what's been going on lately, whether it was Charlotte or it was um, in the paper, it talks about Charlotte, Ferguson, Baltimore, Raleigh. Um, so the connections between those two, I said that there was just unnecessary force. They used excessive Police used excessive force in the sense that they brought in dogs because they wanted people to make it aware that they wanted to scare people, basically. In the video, they said, and I wrote it down, whites view blacks as animals, so they thought it would be okay to use police dogs as a force. And that's how the riots of July 1964 happened, was a girl, a female, got bit by a dog, and she hadn't been doing anything. And this kind of started this riot. And that's similar to what's been going on lately because it's just kind of happened out of nowhere, or for no reason, I guess. On the police part, the riots obviously are justified, but in the video they pointed out that the dogs were good. This really stood out to me. They pointed out that the dogs were good dogs, that they were trained to listen to the officers, but if the officers were not fair, then people were out of luck. There was a good chance that somebody was going to get hurt because of the police officer. Also in the video, they were told to shoot to kill, and one of the commanding officers had pointed out that he said he didn't believe that, and he wouldn't believe that his police officers would do that they were told that, which I found absurd. So I'm going to relate it specifically to Charlotte because that's where I'm from, and that kind of hit close to home for me whenever this happened last year. In the video, they had mentioned that the riot came out of nowhere, and that's exactly how it was in Charlotte too. In the video, one of the men that was being interviewed was like, "I never would have thought that this would happen to my town," and that's exactly how I felt. I lived there for my entire life, and so the fact that Charlotte was having to deal with this and that this was happening in my hometown was just unfathomable, and it just kind of blew me away. Everyone was confused in both the July 1964 riot and Charlotte last year. They were kind of confused as to what was going on with the riots, but I think adrenaline was kicking in and stuff, and people just started going along with the crowd, and they were doing stuff that everybody else was doing. This specifically was pointed out to me in the July 1964 film. One of the men talked about how it was weird seeing people's stores and people's buildings being destroyed. And I remember last year when this was happening, I saw a picture of a man that had been shot and killed right in front of the building where I had prom at a year prior to that. Not even. It was 8 months. And so it was weird thinking that, okay, 8 months earlier, I was standing outside here in my prom dress with a bunch of my friends, and now there's this man that has been shot and killed due to these riots. Another connection that I found was that there was a curfew that was implemented on the city in the video, but there was also a curfew for 11 p.m. that was implemented on Charlotte during all of these riots. Overall, I think between the both, there was attention that was brought to problems that some people were just blind to see. So my feelings about this, I feel like the best way to describe it is that I just feel embarrassed sometimes to be white, specifically when stuff like this is happening. There's people out there who are scared to go outside because they're afraid of what might happen to them, and nobody should have to live like that. Especially after the white supremacist event that happened in Charlottesville a few weeks ago. I feel like I especially feel embarrassed to be white. And then I guess another way to describe it is that I also feel heartbroken for anybody that's had to deal with inequality and police brutality, and then anybody who has yet to deal with it in the future. Like, there's just no reason for it to happen, and so when it does, it just makes me heartbroken. And then I also feel angry and frustrated because this is a problem that we shouldn't have to deal with 50 years after the civil rights movement happened, after it ended. So 50 years later, you would have thought that things would have been different by now, but that's just not the case. We're living in a time where this shouldn't be a problem, and it still is, and that's disheartening and discouraging, and kind of makes you think, like, okay, when will it ever change? So, I watched this really awesome comedian. His name is Hassan Minhaj on Netflix. It's called Homecoming King, and so in it, and I quoted him, it says, why is it every time that the collateral damage has to be death for us to talk about this? A kid has to get shot in the back 16 times for us to be like, maybe we have a race problem in this country. Maybe we're afraid of each other. For every Trayvon Martin or Ahmed the Clock Kid, there's shades of bigotry that happen every day between all of us. When he had said that in his comedy sketch, that really stuck out to me, because the fact that we're still dealing with this in 2017 is just absolutely absurd. My thoughts on it, I would love to sit here and say that I wish that things were different, and I wish that, I'm going to go out and do something about it, but in reality, nothing's going to happen if just one person is doing something about it. Everybody needs to have the same ideas, the same notions, and the same perseverance to try to do something about it. And so for the questions, what do you wish people would never again assume, say, or portray about you and others of your ethnicity and race? I want people to know that we're not all like the white supremacists. I know personally I have a really big heart, and for anyone that I come across and anybody that I meet, and quite frankly, anybody that like I see on TV and like reading articles, like I'm open to all opinions and all ideas. And I know that I'm not the only one like that. I know that there's other people out there who are like that as well. And so I want people to not automatically assume that all white people are racist and that we all have something against people of color. Number 2, what do you think are the cultural strengths of those who are a part of your ethnicity and race, and what are you most proud about given your ethnic and racial identity? I think the cultural strengths of my ethnicity specifically is it takes a lot of strength and a lot of bravery and courage to stand up against people who are white supremacists, to stand up against people of your own race and of your own ethnicity and go against what they believe in, especially when there's a ton of people out there like that. And so I think that is a big strength of people who are white, I guess. I'm most proud of the support that people have given following the victims of events such as the Trayvon Martin shooting or the church that was shot up in Charleston. I feel like the support that has come after that is absolutely tremendous. Whether it's people who are white, it's everybody. I feel like that's something to be really proud of. That they just wanted to help these families and they wanted to help these victims. And I think that says a lot about the people who supported that and helped them after that. All right, that's it. Bye.